I want to dive into 3 forgotten but quirky commands that you can use at the Linux terminal and see how they can bring humor and color to the command line. I'm talking about fortune, Cowsay, and Lolcat. So from random quotes to talking cows and rainbow-colored text, these commands show that even system admins and computer scientists like to have fun with their tools. So let's kick things off first with fortune. Now this command dates back to the early Unix days in BSD in the 70s, and what it does is it generates random quotes, jokes, or even bits of wisdom right in your terminal. Now, it was more than just a fun feature. It was a way to show that computers weren't just cold calculator machines. Sure, they're that as well, but they could have personality. In fact, by using fortune, system admins and programmers could inject some humor or insight into their otherwise technical work. And it's a really easy command to use. You simply just type out fortune at the command line and you'll get a really interesting return. For instance, you might see something like, programming today is a race between software engineers trying to build bigger and better idiot-proof programs and a universe trying to produce bigger and better idiots. And so far, the universe is winning. Now, this is obviously a bit of fun. It's a fun proverb, but when you type in fortune command, you get all sorts of humorous and interesting snippets and anecdotes like this. And overall, it's whimsical. Fortune is a reminder that even in the highly technical environment of early computing, there was room for playfulness and personality. It wasn't just about running code, it was about connecting with the human side of technology. But unfortunately, this is a command that's mostly forgotten. Have you ever even used the fortune command? I'd be curious to know. Next up, and this was more in the late 90s, we have Cowsay. Now, this is a Linux command that adds a new layer of fun to the terminal. It lets you pass text to a talking ASCII cow, and it will say it back in a speech bubble. Super simple, I know, but trust me, until you try it, you'll understand just how fun this can be. And Cowsay took the playful spirit of fortune and gave it a quirky visual twist, because by piping fortune into Cowsay, it would use a speaking cow in ASCII to output whatever the fortune proverb or snippet or bit of wisdom was. So that's where I'm going to go with this now. We're actually going to pipe all of these commands together and get something really fun. But at the end of the 90s, you had fortune and Cowsay, and combined you could have a talking cow at your terminal spitting out an interesting message to start your day. And again, this is a forgotten idea. For most people nowadays, Linux is very graphical based. They're not spending as much time at the terminal or the command line. So the fun and the intrigue of using these commands is perhaps lost on some people, but they probably don't even know that it's there, which is why I would say it is more like a forgotten command, or in this case, a forgotten pair of commands. But let's make it a trio by moving on to the next one. Now, as I mentioned, with fortune and Cowsay, at a time when terminal interactions were usually pretty straightforward and dry, we could add some humor and some fun, or reminding users that even system admins deserve to laugh during their workday. They do. But the final member of our trio is a Lolcat. Now, you may have heard of the Lolcat meme back from the early 2010s, I believe it was, but this takes whatever text that you give it and outputs it in vibrant rainbow colors. So this is the newest of 3 forgotten commands I'm talking about today. And this originated, as I mentioned, in the early 2010s, but it's deeply rooted in internet meme culture with Lolcat. And all you have to do is simply type out Lolcat, and it would pipe out through the terminal and add rainbow colors to it. So it turns boring text into something much more entertaining. So the idea is much like the meme, it's about injecting fun and irreverence really into the terminal. Now, what can you do with these 3 commands? Very simply, you can pipe them all together. So fortune, Cowsay, Lolcat, and what do you get? You get a rainbow-coloured cow delivering a random fortune. I don't know if there is anything more fun than that when using Linux. But as I mentioned, the idea with these commands is to really shine a light on some forgotten and fun parts of the Linux operating system that many people who are new to Linux may not be aware of. Now, this is the catch, which is what I'm going to get to right now. These commands aren't usually installed by default on many modern Linux distros. But don't worry, they're still available in most repositories. So a quick install will get you up and running. If you're using Debian, you could use apt, whatever you want to use, but you could just install fortune, Cowsay, and Lolcat. And once they're installed, you can pipe them together for some truly entertaining outputs. And honestly, who doesn't want a rainbow-coloured cow delivering their fortune every time they fire up the terminal? I don't know who doesn't want that. It's amazing. So from the early days of Linux, and in fact Unix, which obviously predates Linux because Linux is built from Unix and BSD, you can combine fortune, Cowsay, and Lolcat to remind us of a time when computing wasn't all about GUIs and apps, because in the early days, terminal-based systems ruled, and these commands were a way for programmers and system admins and other users to express their personality. And even though I think they're probably rarely used today, these commands show that computers and the people who use them can have a lot of fun and have a tremendous personality they want to express. Fortune gave us wisdom and humor. Cowsay added a playful visual, and Lolcat brought vibrant color and a touch of meme culture to the mix. And I think these things really represent the Linux user really nicely, which is the main thing I want to hammer home here. This is what Linux users are like. They do have personality, they like to have fun, and they're quite often entrenched in internet and meme culture. So I think bringing this trio of forgotten commands together is a really fun way to remind yourself and to remind the world that Linux has a lot of things that are hidden beneath the hood. So there we go. What is your favorite forgotten Linux command or feature? Is this something that you're already familiar with? Is it something you've ever heard of? Maybe you're familiar with the meme, but you didn't realize there was an actual command to do it. But let me know. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.